Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to review the SMAEL SL8007. Let's start out with the wrist check. I'm wearing a Cadison C8208 homage to a Omega Seamaster 300. And Grogu was wearing my Addy's Dive MY-H2. Grogu was telling me that he had a dream last night and wrote a poem about it. In Barter Town did Ant a stately thunder dome decree, where Max the highway warrior ran through outback measureless to man down to ruined Sydney. I said, Barter Town, Thunderdome? I think you have the wrong franchise. He said he thought we were doing a crossover event. Alright, here's the watch. It didn't come in a box. $10 watches seldom do. But it did come with some instructions, but it's pretty intuitive how to use it, so I don't think you're going to need those. This is the second SMAEL on my channel. Just like the other one, this SMAEL is humongous and dirt cheap, only costing around $10. This one has a G-Shock vibe to it, although I don't suggest dropping it 10 meters. But just because a watch isn't G-Shock rugged doesn't mean that it is a flimsy pile of excrement. It seems very well built considering the price. This is a combination digital analog watch allowing dual time. Unlike my Seiko Safari, which synchronizes the minutes and seconds, these two times are completely independent and are set completely different. The analog display is set by a traditional crown, where the digital display is set by the pushers. There are 9 different colorways, with some being quite colorful. I chose this black and gold because I preferred it over other colors and just thought it fit the color of the watch. I also like the olive green version. The watch is 54.4 millimeters wide if you measure at these little ends of the bezel here. It's 58.3 millimeters lug to lug, which isn't really that bad considering how big the watch is. It's 17.5 millimeters thick, so this is one chunky monkey. And the strap, it measures 27 millimeters right here at the widest part, and weighs 71 grams on the supplied polyurethane strap. The bezel just labels the pushers and gives the name of the brand, and then it says water resist on the bottom. You get 50 with this one, which is better than 30. Then if you look at the dial, you got 12 and a 6, and then indices for the analog component. And then you also have a chapter ring for the analog component. Then the hands are loomed, although the loom isn't great. But then again, you don't really need great loom because you have a backlight. So even if you have the analog set differently than the digital, once you turn on the backlight, you can kind of tell where the hands are. Then the digital display, you have the month and the day of the month up top left here. Then you have the day of the week. Then whether or not it's AM or PM on the right here. Then on the bottom you have the running time and the running seconds. And you can set it to 24-hour time if you want. I do not have it set that way. To set the analog time, you have this traditional crown here. Just pull it out and it does hack. And then you can just set the time. This is all you can do with the analog. It just has the basic clock function, and that's it. One nice thing though is when you go to push it in, you don't get any of that annoying minute hand jump, which you often do with cheap Quartz watches. So that's just great there. Then to set the digital watch, you have all these pushers here. You just go ahead and keep going to mode. That takes you to chronograph, then alarm, and then you have it where you can set the watch. Then whatever's flashing is what you set. No, the top button here sets it, and the bottom here takes you to the next part of the what to set. And then once you're done, just hit mode. There's no year, so it can't handle leap year. You'll have to set the deal with February 29th on your own. And once again, the next mode, you have the chronograph. It works just like your basic chronograph. Top pusher starts it. It stops it. Bottom pusher resets it. And let's see if it does split time. So we go ahead and start it. Then instead of hitting the stop button, you hit the reset button, and that stops it, but it's still running. Then hit reset again. It takes you to where it's at. Then hit reset again if you want to split it again. And once you're done splitting it and you actually end of it, go ahead and hit the top button, and then it's actually stopped. Then this resets it. The crystal is a plastic acrylic. It's flat, does the job. Oh, nice thing about acrylic, at least if you scratch it, you can buff it out, usually, if it's not too deep of a scratch. Then the case is huge. It's plastic, but it doesn't feel like a flimsy plastic. Granted, this is no G-Shock, but once again, it doesn't feel cheap. Then the case back is your typical case back of a watch like this. It has, but one thing about this one though, looky here. You can't get to the screws that hold it down while the strap is on. You're going to have to take the strap off to get to the screws to take the case back off. So when it's time to change the batteries, that's going to be kind of a pain. Because if you look at the strap too, it has a hex screws instead of, or Allen wrench style instead of Phillips. So you're going to have to get a little Allen wrench to remove this. So you can get the tiny Phillips to remove the case back. Of course, with the price of this watch, when it's time to change the battery, you could always just throw it away and buy another one. It says Japanese movement, and I believe them, because once again, you don't have an annoying minute hand jump when you go to set it. And I told you how complicated it was to get the case back off. I'm not about to take it off though and look at it to see if I can get a model number or anything. Then the strap, it's a very nice polyurethane. It feels good. It doesn't feel cheap, and it feels very sturdy. And you only have one keeper and it's floating. I'm fine with just one keeper. I never really understood the need for two keepers. Then the buckle seems fairly sturdy too. It doesn't seem like a buckle you normally get on a $10 watch. So I like the strap. Here is the watch and my 7.5-inch wrist. This watch is huge and it's very chunky, but it wears nice. I mean, it fits your wrist nice. The way it's shaped here, it hugs the wrist, and it's a light watch. So even though it's really big and chunky, it doesn't feel big and chunky. It doesn't feel top heavy or anything. So it's comfortable to wear. And of course, being a strap like this, I can't show it you on anything else. Here we are in the lume room. This watch has a backlight, so it really doesn't need lume, but it does have lume, so we might as well test it. As we speed up the time, we see that the hands are fading fairly quickly. Yeah, this lume isn't much good, but once again, it has a backlight, so you can, even though the hands aren't backlit, when you turn on the backlight, you can kind of tell where they are. What do I like about this watch? Well, I like the appearance of it. It's a nice looking watch. And I like this polyurethane strap. It's sturdy, it's comfortable, and it fits you well. It wears really nice for such a big watch. And I like the fact that when you go to set the analog, there's no minute hand jump. What are my gripes and groans? Well, the watch is huge. I mean, here, let me compare it to my G-Shock. I mean, this G-Shock is huge, and this one makes it look tiny. It's possibly the largest watch I've ever reviewed. Plus, I didn't mention this earlier in my review. This subdial here is completely fake. It doesn't do anything. And the watch doesn't have a year, so it doesn't handle leap year. Do I recommend this watch? Sure. You're getting a pretty good watch for 10 bucks. Yeah, it's really big and chunky, but conforms to the wrist and it isn't heavy. So I've enjoyed wearing it. Well, thank you for watching my review of the SMAEL SL8007, and I will be back with another review. More than likely that Addie's dive that Grogu is wearing. I need to get that done. Be sure and like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.